Hey, morning, 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 hunters. How y'all doing this morning? Had a little barbecue last night. I figured you guys would like that. Kind of see that that one comment on there already this morning said, I knew you weren't a robot. Oh, man. Hey, got a question for all you hunters. I'm not going to say, have you been lost? I'm not going to ask if you've been lost, but because nobody will ever admit that they've been lost. I've been lost. But have you ever, been maybe hunting a new piece of property up in the mountains or something and got up there and really didn't know the terrain and kind of got, let's just say, turned around for a few hours? Well, I talk about being a card player, and I always say that there's three things that you must be able to do. And those three things are: you need to have the ability to move, you need to have the ability to shoot, and you need to have the ability to communicate, right? So, if you got your playing cards and you got your radios, then you ought to be in pretty good shape, as long as you know how to use them. But the ability to move, that's a different deal. So why would you need to move? I'm going to bunker in. Well, you got to run those security patrols in those areas. You got your the area you occupy. That's your area of influence, and you have an area of interest outside that area that could immediately impact you. And you might not know that area as well as you know the area of influence. So that area is the area of interest. You got to know that stuff. So, and I'm just talking about movement right now. So maps are available on the Topo website. You can order maps for your area of interest, and it might be a good idea to do it, because if you're going to try to rely on GPS satellites, they're going to shut that shit off. You're not going to be able to do anything electronically. That's the only way they can really truly control. That's why I got a CB radio. Alright, jacked up intersection here. Alright. So, you get those paper maps and laminate them, waterproof them. Get you some map pens that you can, alcohol erase markers, whatever they call them. Need to get a few of them. Need to get a protractor for the grid size of your maps. Either one in military use a lot of 1 in 50,000 maps, which don't show the detail as much. I used them all the time, but it seems like commercially available maps are 1 to 25,000, which is actually a little bit better when it comes to the terrain. So, that evil sun again. So if anybody asks you how to read a map, you tell them right and up. How do you read a map? The answer is right and up. And I ain't even going to get into all that. That's a class in itself. So you get everything you need. There's a lot of books out there. You can go to your Army, Navy store. There's a lot of land nav books. Map reading and land navigation are two different things. Map reading is the ability to read a map and decipher what's on it. You know, like I have all the terrain features right here on my hand, right? I got a depression. I got a ridge line. I got a mountaintop. I got a finger, a draw. Right? You got all of them right there. So that's not all of them. That's the 5 primary. But you know, you got spurs. You know, that could be a spur right there. You got spurs, and you got cuts and fills, and there's all kinds of stuff on the map. So that's just your basic map reading. Now you talk about navigating, the ability to move. One, you got to know your pace count. You count on every other foot, and you walk off with your load, what you're going to be carrying. You don't have to put everything on, but I mean, you need to have your gear on when you do this. And you mark off 100 meters. You walk that 100 meters and you count every other step. You do that 3 times. And if it's uphill and downhill, uneven terrain, that's going to make a difference. Your load, how much weight you're carrying, that's going to make a difference. And your pace count, you should know that. And then you want to strip down to your service pistol and do a running pace count. Just light, real light load and your pistol only. That's your E&E pace count, right? Live to fight another day. Anyway, so get that pace count down. That's important. And next thing, know your terrain features. Know what an intermittent stream looks like on a map. Know what a major river is. You know, those are obstacles and danger areas. Understand the shading on a map, what that really means, you know, going from green to white or dark green. Understand when the elevation, when your contour lines get closer together, it gets a lot steeper, right? So those are some important things to know about navigation. Understand all that, and then go out and walk the terrain and look at the map. Study the map as you walk. It'll all come together. You also know how to you need to know how to get a back azimuth. Pretty simple, right? So there's a cell tower up there. I'm going to shoot an azimuth with my compass and say it's 270 degrees. I subtract 180 from that. It's 90. So I put my protractor on the cell tower, align it with my grid lines, and then I draw a line 90 degrees out. And say if I'm on a road, standing on a road when I do it, wherever that line crosses that road, that's where I'm at. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple stuff. But anyway, so you out there walking the terrain, what that'll do is that'll teach you how to terrain associate. That's the fast way to navigate. The other way is to shoot an azimuth and to try to stay on that azimuth and stay on your pace count. Can you imagine trying to do that for, I don't know, 4 kilometers? Oh, that's nice. getting ready to get smacked over here though. Watch this. But can you imagine trying to do that for 4 or 5 kilometers? You can't. Not effectively. So understand that dead reckoning is only for your last couple hundred meters. If you're dead reckoning over 300 meters, now there are exceptions to that. You get in the jungles of Panama or you get in the jungles of the Philippines, but you can still terrain associate. Nighttime is really when you use dead reckoning. And something you got to remember when you're doing dead reckoning is everybody has a tendency to go left or right. They have a tendency to go left or right. You got to think about that. And find out which way you go. You know, what's your tendency when you're doing dead reckoning? Do you always go to the right side of the tree when you come to a tree? Anyway, those are just some simple things about moving, but you got to practice it. You got to get out and practice it. It's important. Like I said, you can't depend on these electronic devices. And it used to be something with the GPS called P code, and I think they did away with it. GPS's civilian models are a lot more accurate than what they used to be. So, but they can still be off. You know, sometimes when I turn mine on, I use a weather app called My Radar. It's pretty good. But sometimes when I get on there and I click my location, it throws me in a completely different town. So it's not all, with GPS, they can be spoofed. And they're subject to line of sight blockage and, all kinds of things. So practice that map reading, practice that land navigation. And a shout out to my brother down in another state that brought that up to me this morning. Shout out to the American warrior. But I figure I'd share that information with you. There's a lot of books out there. Like I said, I don't know, I'll have to read it, but I think the Ranger Handbook has some navigation stuff in it. But there's better books for navigation than that. There's a lot better books out. So, anyway, it's Land Nav Part 1, right? Maybe we'll get out and practice it and video it. That might be kind of... Put that on here. It'd be kind of cool. The steak was good last night, by the way. And those peppers, man. And those jalapeno ranch-style beans. If y'all live in a different state and you can get them, by all means, please send them to me. We don't have them up here in Virginia. I grew up on them things as a kid. They were some of the cheapest beans. Not the jalapeno ones, but just the regular. Mom would get those. I kind of hated them as a kid, but it's because you grew up on it, right? But then when I got older, I'm like, man, they're actually really good. They got flavor to them. Anyway, whatever. Enough about the beans. Keep your freaking powder dry. November's right around the corner, folks. You see what's going on. You see how our country is. Keep playing cards. Keep practicing. Do the things that you need to do to prepare to set your family up for success and your brothers for success. And if your training schedule is your card playing schedule is only once a month, you need to revise it. You need to do it as much as you can and often. So keep your powder dry. God bless you all. Sic Semper Tyrannis.